Hi guys, thanks for coming. I'm gonna get started in just a second. Okay, everything's shared. Okay, hi, thanks for coming to my webinar on body image and mental health. A little bit about me. My name is Alisha. I am an outreach and engagement intern with neolth this semester. I recently graduated from Georgia Tech in December with my degree in industrial engineering, and I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia as well, but I'm currently in the Washington, D.C. area. So, to get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about what body image is. So, body image, as a definition, is a combination of one's perceived and ideal body image. So, the perceived being how someone views themselves in their mind, um, and what they believe based on society, et cetera, what the ideal body image is. So, body image can be very detrimental to our mental health. Some unfortunate effects of it are a risk for anxiety and depression. And we know that higher body image satisfaction is associated with a poor quality of life and the risk of unhealthy eating behaviors and disorders. So, that's just a little bit of a summary of why the conversation around body image is so very important. So I really liked this infographic. The source was from the Viewpoint Center. I think it gives some insight into, again, some of these effects of body image. We know that over 90% of girls, teen girls, are dissatisfied with their bodies. I think it's also important to point out that we know almost 20% of boys are as well, because I think this is a very multifaceted conversation. Um, we know that 3 in 5 girls feel pressure to be a certain weight, and 10 million men will suffer from a clinical eating disorder in their lifetime. So I think that's a really resounding statistic in this conversation. So also Dove came out with a global beauty and confidence report last year to show some of the further effects that a negative body image have on women and girls. We know that 9 in 10 women and 8 in 10 girls opt out of important life activities like engaging with friends and loved ones when they don't feel good about the way they look. Whether this is, to be more in control of maybe the food they're ingesting or just to not be really around these kind of societal polls. Um, this is something that can happen. Also, we know that 9 in 10 women and 7 in 10 girls put their health at risk by engaging in dangerous eating patterns. Um, and we know that it really affects personalities as well. 5 in 10 women and 7 in 10 girls aren't assertive in their opinion or stick to their decisions when they don't feel confident about the way they look. So something, physical can really affect a lot of different aspects of life. So how does the cycle start? Um, One example is from childhood experiences. We know that bullying and low self esteem can affect negative body image. A lot of these very early childhood experiences shape us more than we realize when we're at that age. Also, comments from parents and other loved ones. Oftentimes, parents or parental figures might not realize the impact that their comments make, whether it's commenting on appearance positively or negatively. And then also weight bias in the medical field. Back decades ago, it was relatively believed throughout the field that a smaller body meant a healthier body, and we now know that that is not true. So things like body mass index as a indicator of health is not true, but that weight bias is still stuck a little bit. So that's another way that maybe a negative body image can be impacted. Also, societal beauty standards, especially when we're all over social media like Instagram, Facebook, etc. We know that a lot of these advertisements and photos by brands are very, very edited and photoshopped. And this sets lots of unrealistic and unattainable standards for women and girls in particular, but again, also men and boys as well. And really just a lack of knowledge of what is healthy versus an emphasis on thinness. There's a lot of there are a lot of people out there claiming, this is how you stay healthy, this is how you stay healthy, whether it's always surrounded with shrinking your body and maybe not the healthy nutrients you really need to be ingesting. So, something just important to be aware of. And again, talking about social media, the fitness and wellness industry does depend on making people feel insecure through these social media ads because they want you to buy their products. So they're going to make more money the more insecure you feel. Um, I think that when you're scrolling through social media, there are comparisons 24/7. So it's important to keep in mind that a lot of these photos are not even real. So now I want to touch on some mental health disorders that are related to body image. The first one is anorexia nervosa. This is a medical condition characterized by disordered eating patterns and a fear of weight gain. Someone suffering might restrict food intake or overexercise or things like that in an attempt to lose weight. I think it's also important to point out what atypical anorexia is, which means, um, the person suffering might not actually be underweight. So I think that's important to talk about when we say that, these disorders don't really have an exact face to them. Another one is bulimia nervosa, which also involves disorder eating patterns, in particular, alternating between eating large quantities of food or binge eating and engaging in activities or behaviors to avoid weight gain, like purging. And then finally, bad body image can also lead to generalized anxiety disorder and depression, as well as OCD. So these are all unfortunate circumstances and conditions that can um, come about if someone is maybe overly focused on their body image. So again, I mentioned this a couple times, but I do think it's important to really take home that body image dysmorphia does not have a face. It's not only women and girls for sure. Specifically, in a recent survey of 2,000 males in Britain, almost half of the males said that their body image issues do impact their mental health. And the National Association for Males with Eating Disorders estimates that men account for between 25 and 40% of those with eating disorders. I think when there's a stereotype that body image dysmorphia is something that only women and girls go through. A lot of these generalizations keep men from seeking help. So I think that's very important to point out. Also, again, eating disorders don't have a body type either, and many suffering are not underweight. So, very good to just be aware and keep in mind that many different types of people can be suffering at the same time from body image dysmorphia. So now let's talk about some ways to combat a negative body image. First, overall, is really just the power of positive thinking. One example of this is journaling. I personally have started getting into journaling, and I think it really helps with this topic. One thing you do is write things you like about yourself in a journal. And what this does is it takes the focus away from physical traits and puts it on internal traits. Another thing you could do is add some positive affirmations into your routine. And you can use that list from your journal to repeat these affirmations in the mirror, whether it's in the morning when you wake up, at night before you go to bed. But it really just gets your mindset in a more positive, idealistic kind of way of thinking. And then also meditation. Um, oh, sorry about that. Okay. And then also meditation, it increases self compassion and appreciation for your body and can really help you learn to combat some of this negative self talk. This is something that you can do in the neolth app, even, and can be really helpful for combating a negative body image. Also, valuing over health over weight. So, overall health over weight. So, I think that a lot of times people associate thinness with health, which is not true at all. Restricting your body's necessary caloric intake can lead to fatigue, dizziness, brain fog, and more. And those things are not healthy. So, pursuing weight loss and thinness is not the same thing as taking care of your health. A lot of these diets and weight loss solutions marketed towards us are not taking our overall well being in account. You need proper nutrients to be a healthy person, and over restricting is not the answer. So, what are some tips to start trying to disassociate overall health with thinness? If that's something you're struggling with, um, try to focus on holistic health over calories. So, eat what makes you feel strong and capable, but at the same time, eat what nourishes your soul. So, that doesn't mean you can never have chocolate cake if you want chocolate cake, because that nourishes your soul as well. So it's really important to have a holistic view. Also, exercise in ways that you enjoy moving your body instead of keeping the focus on shrinking your body. So, for example, if you hate running, you do not need to run. Maybe you love dancing, maybe you love playing soccer. All of these things are very, very healthy for you, mentally and physically. So, try to find what works for you. Also, adopting body neutrality. So, what does this mean? Body neutrality invites us to understand ourselves and others as whole human beings first, and form really our self concept and self worth over our internal self rather than our external self. Um, this is really important to kind of put aside physical traits like I like my hair, I like my eyes, and really go to I love how I treat my friends. I love the compassion I show. I love my intelligence, things like that. I think one great way to start is to curate your social media feeds with accounts that kind of promote these concepts. Two that I love are Dr. Colleen Reichman and My Name is Jessamine. These accounts really bring this message home. Also, setting boundaries. So, having conversations with loved ones is really important. Don't be afraid to ask loved ones to not discuss some of these diet culture topics, and inform and educate them about the impact of negative self talk. So, what this means is, if you feel like when you go home, for example, your mom or dad are making comments that you don't love, don't be afraid to tell them how it makes you feel. I think these conversations and boundaries are very important to have. And also unfollow any social media accounts that aren't serving you. If you're constantly looking at negative content, this can be kind of detrimental to your body image. So it's important to make sure this content you're taking is positive and good for your mental health. Challenging negative self-talk. So, what is negative body talk? It involves voicing concerns or talking negatively about your own weight or anything about your body and comparing it to others. So, it can be really helpful to challenge these thoughts to improve your relationship with your body. This is a lot of times easier said than done, but some tips to start. You can try to be aware and acknowledge when you engage in negative body talks and counter those thoughts with strength. So if you find yourself saying, "Ugh, like these clothes don't fit me like they used to," for example, instead kind of counter it and be like, "Wow, I have so many meaningful relationships with friends that I didn't have before." Or, I've achieved so many great things in the past year, that maybe are not physical. And then also stop engaging in conversations where you feel the need to talk negatively about yours or other people's physical appearances. So if you catch yourself maybe talking negatively about someone else, maybe just try to change the subject. And finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. So if you find that you're constantly comparing your appearance to others, exercising excessively, following an over strict diet, frequently checking your appearance, avoiding social plans that revolve around food, or feeling constant shame for what you eat or how much you exercise, that might be time to seek more professional help. I listed some treatment options. Map.nationaleatingdisorders.org can help you get treatment, as well as a screening tool to see at nationaleatingdisorders.org/screening. And if you need immediate help, text NEDA to 741-741. So neolth can help with a lot of this. I mentioned some things like journaling and meditation. Neolth has a lot of student stories on there too, with students who have gone through similar things. So be sure to check that out. Yeah, so some takeaways. So first, talking about understanding body image and mental health. And we went over some statistics to show why this conversation is so important, how the cycle can start, different related mental health disorders, and how body dysmorphia really does not have a face. And then we finished by talking about some habits like positive thinking, overall health, body neutrality, setting boundaries, challenging negative self-talk, and asking for help. These are some resources I used to put together this presentation, and thank you so much for watching.